So now we'll move into the 16 to 18 age category. So for all those contestants, I got a little pep talk for you. So, I'm your average teenage boy. I love video games, shoes, and cars. However, I have never had a close connection with books, and most importantly, studying. And obviously, I keep getting these uplifting and motivational speeches from my parents, where they're always saying oh, look at that person. And you know what? They're so much better than me. Is that any way to talk to your kids like that? Gee, it's it hurts so much. They're always they're gonna become successful, and then you'll remain the same. And you know what? They would make up for these obvious counter arguments that I would let them win, because they wouldn't make any sense. After all the motivational speeches, I decided that I needed to do something about this issue. And luckily, a few years ago, I got the opportunity to join the public speaking program run by YLSBC. I first thought, I was like, okay, do I have to do this? So when I reached there on my first class, I realized that I had to prepare a speech every class. And I was like, okay, do I really need to do this? But after some time, I realized that my public speaking skills were improving. In fact, now I'm a force to be reckoned with. Just kidding. So honestly, when you come onto stage today and present your 5 to 7 minute speech, it isn't that hard. Just go with the flow. So on that note, let us welcome our first contestant in the age 16 to 18 age category. First, we have Aryan Bond. He is currently a part of many youth and leadership groups, including the Abbotsford Youth Commission, Royal Canadian Air Cadets, and his school student council. Let's welcome him with his speech on gender equality. Give it up for Aryan Bond.
I raise my voice, not so I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We cannot succeed if half of us are held back. These are the words of Malala Yousafzai. Respected judges, guests, parents, and my fellow contenders. I am Aryan Brar, and I am here to talk to you about gender equality. Gender equality entails the concept that all human beings, both men and women, are free to develop their own personal abilities and make choices without limitations set by stereotypes, rigid gender roles, and prejudice. I come from a progressive family and have never heard of any limitations on the females of my family. Until the day I heard from my mom that when she was born, my grandpa distributed sweets and threw a huge party. In turn, most of the relatives of my grandpa had lost his mind. Because how can you celebrate the birth of a girl child? I was shocked and curious at the same time. And I asked my mom about why those relatives reacted that way. What was the big deal if a girl was born into a family? What my mom told me completely shook me. Within the Indian community, the birth of a girl child is considered inauspicious, and female feticide is quite prevalent, even today. You see, India was captured many times, which reduced it to a weak and unstable country. The foreign invaders not only plundered the wealth of the residents, but also kidnapped their daughters and mistreated them. As this kept on happening over a number of decades, it gave birth to a mindset that it's better to have a boy rather than a girl. Women and daughters were and are still considered the honor and pride of a family. In order to protect the honor of a family, it started being considered wise to kill the girls at birth. Parents of a girl were seen as lesser beings and were looked down upon. and this gave rise to a number of social menaces. Let me explain. There was a prevalent practice called the sati system. This was a practice where a widow threw herself into the burning pyre of her dead husband. A fire pit was constructed, and every effort was made to ensure that the widow could not escape, even if she wanted to. There is another practice called the dowry system. Dowry is another name for any money, property, or material good that the bride's family gives to the bridegroom and his family at the time of the wedding. If the groom's family is happy with the dowry, the bride is accepted into the house. If not, she is shunned. Numerous lives have been lost and are still being sacrificed for dowry. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, that there isn't anything you can do, so you don't need to care. We all need to care, because gender equality is the biggest obstacle for any effort made to eradicate poverty. It is certain that unless young men work together with young women and empower them, then true gender equality will forever remain a distant dream. I challenge you all to think about what should be done, how should it be done, and how can we ensure that everyone gets treated equally. Guru Nanak, the first Guru of the Sikhs, once said, "From a woman, man is born. Within a woman, man is conceived. To woman, he is engaged and married. Woman is his friend. From woman, future generations come. When his woman dies, he seeks another woman. To woman, he is bound. From woman, kings are born. From woman, women are born. For without woman, there would be no one at all. So why call her bad? We often take the liberties provided to us for granted. I am grateful for the decisions of my grandparents and grateful for the gift of life given to me. It is because of this that I feel compelled to bring about change. So here I am, bringing these malpractices to light and spreading awareness of gender equality. And I challenge you all to show your commitment to gender equality by treating everyone around you with respect and dignity. Thank you.
So Aryan shows, what would you do differently if you knew no one would judge you?
Often in youthful communities, we face judgment from our peers. Judgment of what we wear, what we eat, what we say, and what we do. And it's this judgment that has created this, so to say, barrier where certain things you shouldn't do. Why? Oh, it makes me look bad. If I was to know that I would not be judged for what I was doing, I would do many things differently. For example, if I wanted to go out into the forest on a camping trip, and no one would judge me and say that, oh, you like living in the wild, you're a crazy person, you're a wild man, I would go and do it, because I know no one would call me out on it. No one would say anything. If I wanted to bring water to a party and instead of drinking juice, I would do it, because no one's going to judge me on it. If I wanted to do a sport or follow a group that some of my friends aren't doing, I would do that as well, because no one's going to judge me. Those are some of the things I do differently. Thank you.
Thank you, Aryan, who is, if you don't know, my duplicate, because I'm also Aryan.
I won't defend you.
Still. Anyways, that was a wonderful speech. Definitely gender equality has a big role in society because like one of the main issues that men get higher wages than women for doing the same job. And on that note, we're going to move on to our next speaker. Next up, we have Alina Karani. She goes to Quantum Park Secondary and aspires to study in the field of neuropsychology. She'll be talking about Islamophobia.
So first off, I would just like to say that this is a very sensitive subject. So if you do feel uncomfortable or triggered by any of the things that I say, feel free to leave and take some time. When I was 8 years old, a friend in my class came up to me and somebody beside me who was wearing a hijab. He came up to us and told her, "Your hijab is ugly." That day she went home crying. But like, it was an innocent mistake. We were just kids. We didn't know what we were talking about. When I was 12, I first heard the term Islamophobia. This confused me and created some anxiety in my head that it was a thing. So I looked it up online. I read the millions of articles published by so many companies of people's experiences. Experiences faced by boys and girls, women and men, that face Islamophobia every day. A few weeks ago, I was in school in my favorite biology class with a group of my friends. One of them, let's call him Henry. So we were just discussing and joking around about unpopular opinions. I would like to say that I consider school to be my second home, my classmates, peers, and teachers to be my second family. So you can imagine how I felt when Henry started saying, "Here's my most unpopular opinion, Islam is bad." Bad. It's a small but simple word, yet it created such a heavy load on my shoulders. I felt betrayed in that moment. I felt as if though, instead of helping me carry heavy textbooks, my friend had thrown them at my face. I felt unsafe in that moment because of the way he looked at me when he said that. That is Islamophobia. For years and years, Muslims all around the world have been forced to feel fear and shame because of this term. Fear because we are afraid of how other people might perceive us, what they might say to us, what they might do to us. And shame because we are associated with terms like destruction, violence, and terrorism. According to studies at Merrifield University, 90% of terrorist attacks are caused by non-Muslims. Yet we are the poster child of terrorism. Because of a small group that has not read the Quran and that has used Islam as an excuse to create fear and gain power. If a terrorist attack is caused by a Muslim, research shows that 100% of the time, that would gain more attention in the public and in the media than a terrorist attack caused by a non-Muslim. So, if that's the case, when a Muslim does something, causes a crime, and it can get that much attention, sometimes the world still stays silent when even my people are the ones being terrorized. For example, currently in China, there are concentration camps for people of Islamic background, for minorities. In these camps, there are 3 million, let that sink in, 3 million men, women, and children being brutally abused, being held in crowded cells, and some being driven to suicide because of their situations. This is Islamophobia. Nobody is talking about it. No action is being taken against it. And even I did not realize this until a few weeks ago when I started my preparation for the speech, when a few of my friends were helping me research for the speech. That scares me. Islam comes from the Arabic word salam, which means peace. And this is one of the reasons why Muslims often try to emphasize peace. Like one man, who first encountered contact with Brenton Tarrant, who was the shooter for Christchurch in New Zealand. So when this man first came to contact with this shooter, he came up to him, turned around, greeted him with a smile on his face, and said, "Hello, brother." Minutes later, he was found dead with 50 other people, all innocent, including a 3-year-old child. This is Islamophobia. We don't want to be victims anymore, and we don't want to be associated with being inflicted this pain upon the world. We want you to know that we are with you, not against you. And we are tired of being associated with blamed for, and apologizing for a group of people who do not represent me, my religion, or my people. Thank you.
So, describe any recent activity where you have shown leadership.
So I actually have an Instagram account, shameless plug, follow it, but it's called Project UniPrep, and it's all about encouraging university and all the different programs and conferences and stuff that are held at universities for high schoolers. And I created this account because like nowadays especially, it's so hard to get into universities because of all the competition, and everybody's doing so many great things. So I just wanted to give people that don't have access to like resources or any media that allows them to be notified of any of these opportunities. So yeah, so I basically have this account, and I've been trying to reach out to university students and some professors even to basically get information and post it on this account so that students can go to it. So, yeah.
Thank you, Lena, for coming here today and having the courage to talk about such a sensitive and important topic in today's society. Next up, we have Nathan Senya. He is a student at Delta Secondary School, and he hopes to let the judges think that he knows what he's doing. He's here to give his speech on climate change. Give it up, give a round of applause.
So, honorable judges, guests, parents, and my fellow contestants. I'm here to give a speech on climate change. I know, original, right? It seems like these days everybody and their grandma has some burning hot take on climate change that you need to hear right now. I'm not here to tell you that using a plastic bag is basically like throwing out the world's last endangered jungle dolphin or something. What I am here to tell you is that we're in big trouble. And we need to do something soon, because this is our last chance. Now, I was never a big environmentalist when I was younger. I mean, I switched off my lights, I tried to get my parents to reduce our emissions, whole 9 yards. And my mom, she meticulously recycles every single plastic that comes to our house. I mean, my family's even saving up for a Tesla. Great, right? And I'd flick on the TV and I'd see scientists talking about how there would be entire countries with millions of people living on them, underwater in the next couple decades. How natural disasters are going to become a fixture of life rather than unfortunate happenstance. But I still thought that I was doing my part. And I think that's fine. I think people who are trying to save the world do deserve a pat on the back. But are we sure that's really enough anymore? Now, back in 2017, Ottawa, our nation's capital, flooded. Half of the place went from city to lake almost overnight. And on TV, there were politicians and scientists talking about how this was the storm of the century. We're not going to see anything like this for another 100 years, at least. And this year we have flooding that made that look like a light drizzle. And I read about it, and I thought it was horrible too, but it wasn't really real to me until I went there on a school trip, and I stepped out of my host dad's car into winds that felt like a hurricane, until I stared out into an ocean of floodwater, barely held back by walls upon walls of sandbags, hastily assembled by the dozens of people whose houses were in danger of being washed away. And my host dad said to me, if this goes up by another 5 centimeters, this whole neighborhood is done for. And I said, how much is it going to go up by? He told me half a meter at least. And those houses aren't there anymore. And that was eye-opening for me, because I thought about what it would be like if I was in that situation. If the bike path that I took to work every day was suddenly under 10 feet of water. If the house that I wanted to build a family and a future in was just washed away. If I had to go to bed trying to get to sleep next to a wall of sandbags I wasn't sure was going to hold until the morning. I mean, we have the facts. We know that within the next couple of years, there are going to be people who can't eat because due to global warming, the water they irrigate their crops with is starting to dry up. We know that in the last year, in the US alone, there was over $50 billion in property damages. Think about what that means in terms of all of the towns or communities or livelihoods that were just wiped off the map. And today, in some of the richest, most educated, powerful countries on the face of the planet, with all of these facts at our disposal, we have people sitting in our houses of government who still say that climate change is a myth. And I can't say I don't understand why they do it, because it's easy, right? It's easy to go out and say that this environmentalism shtick is just some nonsense made up by the left, to go out and strike down some climate legislation, to take some money from some corporate lobbyists and not have to ask the hard-hitting questions about where our society is going. And I think it's easy because we have made it easy. These days, it's easy to forget. But the people in our government have sworn to listen to our voices. And if we want to be heard, we're going to need to start speaking up. We're going to need to tell them that this isn't going to keep happening. That our society is going to change, whether they're with us or against us. And it's nice to think that we can just do that. That we can just kick out all of the corrupt politicians and put Captain Planet behind the Prime Minister's desk. And everything will be fine. But just as important as the question of taking action is the question of what that action will look like. Because often, climate action can create as much harm as it helps. Let's take, for an example, the carbon tax that was put into effect recently by Justin Trudeau's Liberal government. At first glance, it seems pretty good, right? It's a tax disincentivizing the use of fossil fuels that are destroying our planet. A win-win for everybody. I mean, we all live on the planet. But hold on, because you don't need to be a PhD economist to see what sort of havoc it can wreak on a single mother who all of a sudden can't afford to fill up her car or heat her house in a -2-degree winter. And that's doubly true for people living in third world countries who indeed are engaging in practices that are destroying our environment, but are doing so because those things are the only things standing between them and starving or freezing to death. I think what's important as we march towards a better tomorrow is to take care and look out for the people that we may trample underfoot. And I think that's why it's even more important that we, the people and the countries that are able to make that change, start. That we set a good example and begin paving a road into a better future for everybody on our planet. We're sitting on the edge of the Rubicon, sticking a few feet in to test the waters, but now is not the time for indecision. Now is the time for action. We all need to do something, or else there's not going to be a planet left to save. It's not going to be an easy switch, but I think that we can do it. I'm ready to get started. Are you?
So Nathan chose, can you be an agent of change? You walk on the road and how?
Like I said before, it's pretty easy to leave the most important issues on our planet to be somebody else's problem. I mean, I've been doing it for most of my life, but just coming to a place like this today has led me to realize the sort of things that every single person in this room, every single person in this country can do to make this world a better place. Everybody has the capability to look into issues and to spread word about the important things that are affecting people today. Everybody is able to turn up to marches, support and contribute to the campaigns of people who are trying to fix the problems in our society. And I'd argue that everybody has a responsibility to learn about these things and to listen to the voices of other people, to share their own voice and their own perspective. Because ultimately, every single voice matters, and every single voice deserves to be listened to. Thank you.
Wow, that was a super great speech. I think you really put into perspective everything that's happening right now, so good job. And now I'm kind of curious, what teenagers here have participated in a Fridays for Future strike at their school? Good on you, man. Okay, so next up, we have Anjani Agarwal. She's very involved in various leadership programs. She does pre-competitive dancing and is a grade 10 student at Abbey Senior Secondary. Give it up for Anjani with her speech on why she just has this.
My name is Anjani Agarwal, and I'm going to tell you something about myself. I don't have social media. What? Are you insane? Are you normal? What is wrong with you? Do you even have friends? This is the type of reaction I get when I say this simple sentence. Now, why I don't have social media is a personal choice. Let that be very clear. It is a choice I have made for myself, a lifestyle choice. But it didn't always start that way. About 5 years ago, when social media started to get very big and it was very common and a lot of people started to have it, I wanted it too. Because I thought, well, everybody else has it, everybody's doing it. I want to do it too. I want that my friends and I can talk on this new platform, this new thing that has been introduced into society. But when I went home that day and I told my parents about it and about how there's this new platform and these things that we can do in the social media, my parents told me not to do it. They told me no. And I wasn't understanding why. And they explained to me that because it is so new, we don't have a lot of information about it. So I said, okay, I agree with you. I will wait. For the next few years, I kept going back home and I would ask my parents, can I please have social media? And they always said no to me. Last year, over the course of last year, I was able to understand for myself why I shouldn't have social media, and I made it into a decision for myself. So one day my parents asked me, wait, what happened? You always ask for social media. You're not asking for it anymore? I said, no, I don't want it. And they're very impressed. Now the reasons for this have evolved and grown over the course of many years. And one of the big reasons is because last year I went to a leadership conference with my school. At this leadership conference, there was a keynote speaker. He talked about 3 different types of people in leadership and in leadership in relation to social media. He talked about the leaders, the people who take initiative. They go out in the world, they spend their time wisely, they try and be productive. Secondly, they're the followers. These are the people who watch the leaders. They follow, they look at what they're doing, they see some things trendy, and they try and be trendy too. Third, there is the watchers. These are what mostly our generation is. They're the people who sit at home, they watch people on social media live their lives, but they don't live their own. People in our generation sit at home, they're on social media, and they watch other people live their lives. For example, people are constantly watching Kendall Jenner and what drama is going on in her life, what shoes she just bought, what dress she just bought. They're always watching others. They're not living their life. That's something I try and implement into my own life, is to actually live in the moment, to go out, to do stuff, to be productive. That's why I took this public speaking course. Being productive and using your time wisely is a very important skill to have and a very important thing to do. Because we have to remember that once this moment is over, it's over. We won't ever get it back. We can take as many pictures and videos as we want, but we won't ever have that feeling that we did when we were actually there. Therefore, it's important to live in the moment. To add to this, people say that they feel very connected through social media. They say that because of social media, I'm so much more connected to people all over the world. But how can you be more connected to people when you don't see every aspect of their life? You see the good and the perfect. But where's the bad and the ugly? Why don't you see that? Well, it's simple. People in the world are not going to put the bad and the ugly on the internet for the entire world to see. They're not going to post about when they went to the doctors and they just got diagnosed with some disease, or that something bad just happened to them, for instance, somebody passing away. They're not going to put this for the entire world to see, and so we don't see that, and we can't be connected the way we used to be. We can go out into the neighborhood and you will see people are constantly on their phone. Waiting in line for this cash register, they're going to be on their phone. They're going to be looking at whatever new thing is popular. They're going to be going to the doctor's office. You're going to sit down, you're going to look around. People are on their phones. They're just on their phones and not looking. You need to take the time to put your phone down. Put your phone down and look around you at everybody. Once you put your phone down and you look at somebody, you really look at somebody, then you can begin to understand what is going on in their life. Not through social media, but through this simple concept of putting your phone down. So, to conclude, I want you to take away from this is that you need to go out, you need to put your phone down, and you need to look at people around you, and you need to make that connection with them. Thank you.
So Anjani has chosen, beyond the titles that others have given you, who are you?
To answer this question, I have to tell you what others have given me the title of. People call me a nerd, a geek, because I care so much about my grades and I care so much about studying in school. But beyond that, I am a daughter, I am a friend, I'm a sister, I'm somebody who cares about listening to others and about trying to speak for those who don't speak. I am somebody who wants to succeed in life and to be secure in financial needs. I want to be able to support my parents because they've worked so hard for me and my sister to have a good life. So who am I? I am somebody who just wants to make a difference in the world for myself and for my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjani, on that phenomenal speech on social media. And I completely agree that it is actually taking over our lives. And we need to not put an end to it, but take time to appreciate other things in life. Okay, I think you guys are ready. So I'll just move on to the next participant. Next we have May. And in her free time, she enjoys hanging out with her friends. And she's here to perform her speech on feminism's impact on domestic abuse. So give her a round of applause.
The last time she looked at him properly was on their wedding day. She looked at him and thought no one could ever hurt her because he was there to protect her. That was before she realized that he was the one she needed protection from. That was before her eyes became swollen and purple. Before she lost the ability to count all the bruises on her body with her 10 fingers. Before she stopped believing him when he said this was the last time he would beat her. The last time he would hurt her. The last time he would strip her of her dignity. To most, this scenario is thankfully foreign and strange. But the sad truth is that every single day, millions of people around the world are victims of domestic abuse. Some have it better, some have it worse, but all victims are indeed victims of an incredible cruelty from which they cannot escape. It's hard not to look at these situations and feel hopeless. How can we encourage men and women to leave toxic environments? How can we provide them with the help that they need? And how can we prevent these situations from happening in the first place? There is at least one movement that has sought answers to these questions, and that movement is feminism. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm here to talk to you about how feminism has helped countless women, and indeed men also, escape from domestic abuse. So firstly, what is feminism? To answer that, firstly, how has feminism helped to reduce domestic abuse? To answer that, we have to ask, what is feminism? Feminism is the belief that men and women are equal. Some have tried to characterize it as the fight to bring women above men, or as a lesser movement compared to the one for civil rights. But the truth is that feminism recognizes that there is a problem with the way that women are treated and focuses on helping them to become equal to men in society. Feminism has empowered women to believe that they have the right to safety and that they have the right to physical control over their own bodies. And recognition of this movement by police officers and the legal system means that previously, if a woman had gone to the police station claiming that her husband had hurt her, she might have been told to go home and deal with it on her own. Now, police officers are more likely to take things seriously and care about women and their right to be protected. Moreover, it also helps men who are physically abused. The national statistics of domestic abuse show that 1 in 9 men in the US are physically abused by an intimate partner. And feminism pushes the idea that men don't have to be strong and emotionless all the time, that they can show emotion and ask for help when they need it. This means that if a man is being abused in his relationship, he doesn't have to feel afraid to ask for help anymore. But most importantly, it shows that violence is not an acceptable trait in a relationship, and that men and women alike deserve to be protected. So how has feminism helped people to escape relationships in situations where it couldn't be prevented? Feminism has sought to get women hired just as much as men, to ensure that they have the financial independence to leave when they're in a dangerous situation, so they can feel secure in the knowledge that they can take their children with them and leave from dangerous partners. Feminism has also pushed government bodies to create resources, like shelters for people who have been abused and have nowhere to go, like care centers and state lawyers for people so people can level charges against partners that hurt them, and medical care and counseling for people who have been through traumatic experiences. Feminism has also sought to change the attitudes of society, especially men in society, so that domestic abuse is no longer normalized. Now, what can we do to ensure that this movement continues to protect people? We all want the people we love to be safe. And that is why it is so important to spread the message of hope that feminism brings with it. Spread awareness about domestic abuse and remind people that it is never okay to hurt someone, regardless of their gender. Fight to ensure that both men and women have equal rights in the workplace and other domains by speaking up when you see unfairness. It may be the empowerment that a single mother of 2 needs to leave an abusive husband. Look for signs of domestic abuse in men and women and never push someone to take care of things on their own or hide their feelings. Empathy is the only way to fight hatred and violence. And kindness is the helping hand that a woman in need relies on when it comes to finding the strength to leave an abusive husband. It is the spark of hope that a man looks for when he finally finds the courage to tell someone that he's been the victim of domestic abuse. It's the thread that binds us together, man or woman, to fight against cruelty. Thank you.
So another question is, if you had the opportunity to get a message across to a large group of people, what would that message be? what that message will be.
Okay, so if I could get one message across to a larger group of people, I would say that you should act upon things that you have heard about. For example, when people listen to presentations about things that are going on in the world, even though in those presentations there are solutions provided, most people don't actually act upon that, but acting upon these things are so simple. For example, you can actually donate to non-profit organizations when it comes to problems such as global warming and, as I've talked about, domestic abuse. So even though there are such simple solutions, I think most of the time it's really hard for people to actually take the step and take the action to get involved with these problems. And it would be best if, after they've learned something about a topic, to actually act upon it and make a difference in our world. Thank you.
Thank you, May, for that amazing speech on domestic abuse and feminism. That's a topic that we should really actually raise awareness about, and not many people really talk about it, and we just leave it to the side. Like nowadays, we focus on like global warming / climate change as one of the biggest issues, but we should also take that situation into consideration.
I'm going to invite the Honorable Ron McKinnon to give a speech for us. First, I'm going to just give a little blurb about him. So Ron McKinnon was elected to the House of Commons to represent Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam in the 2015 general election. Active in politics for many years, Ron ran as a Liberal candidate for the 2008 general election and for Port Coquitlam City Council in 2011. As a member of the Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights and the Standing Committee on Health, he studied complex legislation such as medical assistance in dying and the Cannabis Act, and participated in a number of studies such as pharmacare, human trafficking, access to justice, support for jurors, and antimicrobial resistance. Recognizing that British Columbia is seized by an opioid crisis, Ron introduced a private member's bill, the Good Samaritan Drug Overdose Act. His legislation became law in May 2017 after receiving unanimous all-party support in both House of Commons and Senate. The new law is saving lives by encouraging people to call 911 in the event of a drug overdose. It provides immunity from prosecution for possession of controlled substances when someone calls for medical assistance in the instance of a drug overdose. Ron is also keenly interested in his community's cultural scene. Prior to his election, he was a successful business owner and computer systems analyst to major firms in Canada, the US, and overseas. In the 1970s, he worked as a meteorological technician for Environment Canada's Atmospheric Environment Service. Ron has a Bachelor of Science from the University of Alberta and an honors diploma in computer technology from the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology. He's married to Christine and has 2 daughters, Catherine and Sarah. Let's give it up for Ron McKinnon.
Well, thank you. You went through my whole resume, I see. That's good. So I have been busy, apparently. So I have only some very, very brief remarks here. I arrived last night on the plane, and I leave tomorrow morning. But last night I arrived at my office to sign some papers and said, oh, by the way, you get to go and speak today. So I'm sorry. So I understand your session today was about public speaking. Please don't judge. Canadian youth represent 1/3 of our population, and they're one of Canada's most important resources. And you are the most educated, connected, and diverse generation this country has ever seen. So young Canadians are innovative change makers, and you're taking the lead in building a better, fairer, and more sustainable future, which is very important. When youth feel empowered, you will create positive change for yourselves, for your communities, and for the world. So public speaking gives you this opportunity. Your voice adds to shaping the policies that affect the lives of Canadians. It's clear that young people want to have a say in the decisions that affect their communities and their lives, and public speaking gives you a voice to get your constructive and passionate voices, constructive and passionate opinions on the record. So public speaking will challenge you. I'm just going to go off my script here and point out that I'm a computer programmer. So this is a huge journey for me to be able to do this, even with notes. I'm the guy they put in the back room and say, don't talk to him, because he'll talk to you about bits and bytes and stuff, right? So for me to get involved in politics was a real journey. I had to be able to get up in front of a huge group of people was quite difficult for me. When I first started doing this, I'd get up in front of people and I'd get really nervous, and I have a muscle right here. I tell everybody about this story. I had a muscle here that would twitch. I'm sure that that's all anybody could see. But you know what? You carry forward, you carry on, and you keep doing it. And sometimes you get good, sometimes you get better. And but the most important thing is to keep going and to keep trying. So public speaking will challenge you, but it will also push you to develop skills that will last you for a lifetime. You will soon be venturing off to university, and there you'll be among thousands of students, and then soon enough you'll be in the workforce. And paying taxes, which we like, right? But the skills that you're learning right now will teach you how to use your voice and make that voice heard, which is extremely important. You aren't just leaders, and I must commend you all for being here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. I'm very impressed. I was very impressed by your debate here. You put together in a very short period of time a very excellent argument on both sides, and I was very impressed by that. So thank you. So you were challenging and questioning the status quo. And so I thank you as the future leaders of our country, of our community, and for standing up and having something positive to share. So that's really all I have to offer you, but thanks for the invitation to be here.
Stay here for a second.
More work to do.
Yeah, more work to do. So right now we're going to be calling up each participant one at a time to hand out participation certificates. And when you get your certificate, just please stay around in the stage, because then we're going to get a group picture with Mr. McKinnon. And then we're going to send you off back to your seats. And then after that, we're going to start calling out the winners for each category and the overall winner. And once all the participants are up, judges, if you would like to be part of the picture, also hop on up the stage. And yeah, we'll get one. Let's move this side actually. So he's going to be handing you a certificate, and you're just going to call out the names.
Okay. Monish Peshin. Maya Peshin. Let me apologize for your name I mispronounced. I'm winging it here a little bit, so thank you. Hoshita Rajesh Nair. Angelina Yang. Saya Bajaj. Kavi Brar. Imran Bar.
Not that far.
Aryan Brar. Lisa Yu. It's you, right? Vivian Young. Mei Fan. Anjani Agarwal. Alina Pirani. Nathan Senior.
Yeah, that's the picture. That is, would you like to see?
Thank you.
Which is revolving. So all the past winners' names are in the trophy. This stays with steps together. And this is the keeper's prizes. And here you can see May Fan was in 2018. She was here. She was the winner on category 14 to 16. And then we have Keisha Mistry,
She was in 2014 winner of 16 and 18. And we have Emily Sue, I don't think she's here today. And we have Sadhini Kumar, she was somewhere here. Yeah, she's in the kitchen, so she was winner. So all the winners' name will be here etched forever. And then we will keep growing. Another 25 years, it will be a big trophy. So it's like standing trophy. This is the winner we get.
I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Now time for the moment of truth. The moment we've all been waiting for. Yay! Yeah, I'm pretty sure nobody's been waiting for this. It's lots of tension. Anyways, so I'm going to start off with the 12 to 15-year-old category. And our third place winner is, drum roll please, Monique Peshin.
Take a picture with the trophy.
Our second place winner for the 12 to 15-year-old category is Angelina Yang. And our first place winner for this category is Vivian Lee. Okay, moving on to the 16 to 18-year-old category. So our third place winner is Anjani Agarwal. And our second place winner is Nathan Senor. And our first place winner for the 16 to 18-year-old category is May Fan.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now for the favorite time of this competition, the overall winner. I love building up suspense, by the way. I'm just gonna wait for some time. And for the 2019 Public Speaking Contest overall winner, we have Vivian Liang.
This award also comes with, I believe, $5,000 bursary.
Sorry. Ron's making up the rest.
Okay, so just
1 minute
stay
wait.
here.
Yeah, please look.
Main band, if you could just come up wherever you are. I don't know. See. Okay, yeah. Just come up. We're gonna take a picture because you were also the first place winner for your category. So we're gonna have both of you with McKinnon.
See female power?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Feminism?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're almost near the finish of this contest. I'm going to call over Mrs. YLSBC to do a vote of thanks.
This is the most important job that I have been given to do it, and I take really pride in it because I find that to make any event successful, there are a lot of people behind it, and we need to express our gratitude towards them. And expressing gratitude is just like wrapping a present and not presenting it. So I am here to express it and present it. First of all, I would like to say a big thank you to our sponsors, which is Canada Service Corps, taking it global, Rising Youth for supporting Aryan Bamzai in his community service project today, and also Roger Communications for believing in us and supporting our projects for the youth development. All these community supporters of these events and providing awards for the youth. For all the contestants who participated today, in my eyes, everybody is a winner because you came here, you came over the fear of public speaking, and I think what touched my heart was, I listened to most of you, was the issues that you brought forth. The things you talked about, it really shows that you're way ahead in your thought process. And I remember when I was of this teenage age, we were not even aware of some of the issues. So keep it going. In my eyes, everybody is a winner. So let's put our hands together. For our singer, Shania Shankar, who sang O Canada, and what a beautiful rendition. Shania, thank you so much. Our keynote speaker, Mr. Richard Stewart, who is Mayor of City of Coquitlam, he is always supporting any of the programs, and I keep bugging Ravi all the time. Don't bug him all the time, and Ron, you're next on list now. It's a great way to come, all these members of parliament or mayors to come and see what is happening in their communities and to support us. It means a lot to us. So thank you so much. Richard is not here, but we'll be sending him a note to say that. To our judges, Corel Zarillo, is that right? Isha Mistry, Sharad Chandra, and Steve Kim. Thank you for your time here, and also for the patience you have shown to sit through it, do all the math, do all the calculations. They say that time is a very rare commodity, so we thank you for your time. These days it's very easy when people do charity work, they give money, but time, people say we are busy. It's busy life. So from bottom of our hearts, from Step to West Foundation, we actually thank each one of you to come here and support programs like this. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ron McKinnon, to be here, Member of Parliament, Coquitlam and Port Coquitlam. He believes in our youth and supports our initiatives. So thank you for being here. We know a lot of things are happening today in Coquitlam today. We could see at Lafarge Lake today. So thank you for being here. Jeff Scott for covering today's event. Thank you, Jeff. You're always here. Ravi always tells me, oh, Jeff will be there. So thank you for capturing all these memories of all the events. You are behind the scenes, but in our hearts, you are in front of the scene. So thank you very much for being here. We also thank Snapper Magazines and YLSBC for donating trophies. But best today, which really warmed my heart, was to see our MCs, Aryan Bamse, and Rag Nair, all three of you. The reason I'm bowing down to them is they came to our public speaking class like any other student. And through it's very heartwarming to see their growth and to come here, to run the show here. When people ask us, what do you get? What do you get, Ravi and Achla, doing all these programs or events? Like Keisha, she used to be here, and through our public speaking classes, now we see them to be judges, to be emceeing. That's our reward. Doing these events. Also thanks Mike and Maria Perez for giving this place to us, and every time we ask them to for this facility, it's a beautiful facility here, they are always very kind enough to keep it open for us. And finally, our thank, let me double check we are not forgetting anything. Yes, good. Okay. So I hope I haven't missed anything.
You have the list?
No, I think. So last but not least, I again thank you, each one of you, and most so all the parents who drove all the participants here. Yes, I'm going to do that. And my culinary team, and the taking charge of that. She was a public speaking MC last year. 2 years ago? 2 years ago, okay. And also she has taken on the culinary part of it because that's what she is doing at UBC as a bachelor. So she has taken a charge. Thanks. Wasn't the snacks good and very good? Yeah. So that's it. Thank you, all of you. And we have something for you, Ron. So I would like you to come. Yes, sir. So I don't come and give to
So, words are not enough for the support Ron has given us. He's an awesome member of parliament. He is constantly in touch with us, and he keeps sending us opportunities. He's very instrumental in getting us the funding for Canada summer jobs. And I've got, last year we had a student, we created a new project. Ron was there to bless the project, and then we also have more summer jobs this year. We'll create some more projects. So Ron is always rooting for the community members, and thank you, Ron, very much for your support. So I think I will request Ron to do the honor of presenting these two judges for the time. Steve Kim. Sharath Chandra. Kisha Mistry. Soda bomb. Apuran Zarilo. Thank you. We'll take one picture with all the judges and
Before we get away, I want to thank Ravi for all he does. Well,
thank you. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. So, thank you guys. So that marks the end of this evening, and unfortunately, and anyway, we'll be back next year, maybe sometime in May. And thank you for all the participants from coming all the way. You really made this event very, very lively and worthwhile for all of us to spend. So, go get Canada now. Go make Canada a bigger, best country in the world with all your ideas.